Let's go back to CBS News correspondent David Begnaud in Houston right now. David, what can you tell us?
Elaine, more Secret Service vehicles are arriving. We are awaiting the hearse that will take the body of Mrs. Bush to the local funeral home. But we're also seeing people who are coming up with flowers, leaving them at the gate. You cannot actually get into the gated community unless you live here. But we saw Lindy Neuhause, and I could tell that she had a story that we probably wanted to hear. Lindy, I have to tell you, so many people in the Houston area have walked up to me over the last 48 hours and regaled us with stories, many people having never met Mrs. Bush. You met her, and you actually considered her a friend. Would you tell us how you met?
We met, both of us had lost children, and so we got together one time and had about an hour and a half, 2-hour visit at the Houstonian when President Bush was vice president at that time, and just came to like each other so much, and then started writing letters back and forth to each other. And our son wrote a book before he died, and she, Barbara and George, wrote the foreword to it.
The connection over death happens with so many families. I wonder what it was that made, other than the fact that they had lost a child and you had lost your son, Beau, to liver cancer. Their daughter died of leukemia. What was it about her that sort of made that connection?
She was such a woman of faith, as I am, and she had a wonderful sense of humor. She was such a lady, just the ultimate lady, and she just was so kind and compassionate and just cared about people in general. I always think if the world could be full of Barbara Bushes, the world would be a much better place.
How did your relationship with her progress? When was the last time you spoke with her?
I saw her about probably 9 months ago, just walking her dog, and said hello.
She liked to do that.
She did like to do that. She loved those puppies.
How was she then?
She was great. She's been on oxygen, I think, for a couple of years, but it just didn't slow her down a bit.
Her son Neil had said to our station here in Houston, KHOU, that in recent months she was unable to walk, and she really enjoyed walking those dogs.
She did love her puppies.
Many people have remarked, as you have, about how classy she was. In fact, one woman said today, "I always as a child wanted pearls because I saw Barbara Bush wearing them everywhere."
Exactly. That was her signature, those pearls.
What are we to take from the life of Barbara Bush? Because before you were a friend of hers, or after you were a friend of hers, she then became your first lady. She was everyone's first lady.
She was
What are we to take from her life?
Just her kindness, I just don't think she had a mean bone in her body. I don't think, she just loved everybody, and she had a wonderful faith about her. And as she said one time on an interview, she wasn't afraid to die. She knew where she was going.
Do you remember something that she told you personally that you'll never forget?
She actually just thanked me for coming, which meant the world to me because I was, of course, just a nobody, and still am, of course. And she just thanked me for coming to talk about Robin, and said how this generation is talking about death and dying and grief journeys a lot more than they did back when Robin had died. And she just thanked me for being open with her about it, let her talk about Robin.
You know, no statements come out from a family spokesman unless the president and the first lady approve of it. And I get the sense that she probably was okay with everyone knowing that she had made the decision as to how she was going to spend her final days.
Absolutely. That would be Mrs. Bush. She just was an open book and not ashamed of anything, and I think she's very proud of the legacy she's left. And our teenage daughters were in college together, and so we got to see them at different events relating to that. And she just was not ashamed of anything. She just was a happy, just joy-filled person.
One woman said to me today, and she was also so approachable. You could see her somewhere in town, and you could walk up to her, and if you were so forward as to try and give her a hug,
that's right,
she would accept it.
Absolutely. And everybody, I would love to think I was grieving the most, but the entire country, especially the city of Houston, Texas, is going to be grieving for a long time because she was such a presence.
Thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Lindy Neuhause, who lives just across the street from where the Bushes live, but a personal friend. A lot of stories like that, Elaine, going around Houston. A lot of people telling the story of how they believe Barbara Bush was one approachable First Lady.
Wonderful reflections. David, thank you so much, and our thanks to Lindy